But if he talks about the whole blog post, that'll be good. But I don't know if he's doing that. So let's find out. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 751. George R. Martin calls out anti-fans, and
so he.
What?
I'm sorry. In the background the stream started, and now I get you twice. Sorry, I fixed that. First thing I want to call out, we have an extra here in the Watch Together. We see in the line of all the other videos from the channel that we have to click away. And one of them has the thumbnail for probably for Rings of Power. Yeah. Where he made a video, Porn of the Culture Wars. Which is true. But one correction, just some guy, in case you are watching this cute little stream. There's only one culture war. It's not the war of cultures. Truly not. That's misleading. It's not all cultures against each other or several against each other. It's just socialism against everyone else because it wants to destroy everything else so that only it remains. It's like that religion we are not allowed to name. They do the same thing. And you think, but socialism isn't a cult, it's an ideology. Yes, exactly. It wants to replace everything with itself. That's the war. That's why it erases history. Anyway, back to the topic.
Yeah, this is just some guy's YouTube channel we're covering. It's like a 5-minute video, so it won't take too long to go over. But this is all in regard to or reference to a George R. Martin blog post on his own .com, and it's nothing new. He's always been this liberal guy, and he's whining about how 2023 was hell, and it's going to get even worse, and Trump is evil, and global warming.
23 was hell because of Biden.
Well, I mean, not to him.
And all this other shit. All the other hard left governments, all the socialist governments. Who sold us out?
He's a writer, so he had a lot of deaths in his writing circle, and he's kind of lamenting that. It's like, this is just a guy. He's saying, I didn't like the year. I didn't read anything too much about the fans, though. Maybe I missed it. Maybe there's another blog post he's going to talk about. So maybe this.
What I wanted to mention. So just some guy did adopt the term anti-fan. He's just using it wrong.
Yeah, don't know.
Martin is not calling out anti-fans. He is calling out critics.
I guess.
Who are fans.
Maybe I'm on the wrong blog post, but this was titled Dark Days, January 29th, 2024, and that's it. I mean, it's just him lamenting that 2023 was bad, and all these things happened, like the war in Myanmar, and all these other, it's like, this is just a guy talking about random topics.
Is the war in Myanmar? Again? Or still?
Ukraine and Gaza dominate the news, but there is a war in Myanmar, as well as our Western media just ignores. Yeah.
How about how many wars are we supposed to bother? Like, dude, Ukraine is on the continent. It's right here. It's next door. Yes, we cover that because it affects us. It doesn't affect you, George. Except your tax money that's dumped into that thing. Gaza, it kind of affects us here. Especially in Germany, we have to care about it for obvious reasons. And I think we know more about that trouble than you do. Though many Germans don't because they're indoctrinated by the left and demonstrate together with the Roman saluting Islamists in Germany who say the HH and want to gas certain people.
Yeah,
but that's okay when it's them doing it. Everyone else gets locked up for good reasons. But they're allowed to do it. Is that still liberal?
Yeah.
Is it dumb or is it already socialist?
It's one thing to call for peace. It's another thing to say, I want this side to win so we could have peace. It's a bit different. So, yeah, not a good look whenever you start protesting on the behalf of murdering an entire side. So, anyway,
when your stance is we want to genocide everyone because the others are genociding us, although they are not. and they only started throwing you out after you started killing them. It's kind of history is important. You may claim, and maybe validly so, that in the Tucker Carlson interview, Vladimir Putin went a bit overboard with the whole history argument, and maybe not all points he made were historically accurate. However, history is important to know who started it, because sometimes there is one who actually started it, and we can determine who. Of course, that someone never wants you to know that. So do the digging.
All right.
It's fun. It's always fun.
All right. Anyway, this is 5 minutes and a half long. We'll see what he has to say. And okay, here we go. I think we're all set. Yes.
When you tear out a man, you're not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he might say. Funny how the people who love to use that quote are now trying to tear out George R.R. Martin's tongue.
Really?
Spent more money. Or made it himself. I don't know.
Why would you want his tongue?
What?
George R.R. Martin pissed off all the usual
Mike, what did he say?
Oh, no, because he said, they're going to get George R. R. Martin's tongue. It's like, why would anyone want this old bastard's tongue?
I don't want to know where it's even been. You don't know where it's been, and you probably don't want to know.
I
think
know.
in short, the short of it is that the author is not always right. When the author dumps his own stuff, the weird thing is just some guy has complained about that when it's happened in Marvel and DC.
Well, this is
why is it suddenly okay when it's Martin?
This is the common response we hear from these weird social media experts or movie experts, whatever the hell they call themselves. It's like, why are you being so negative? Why is it every time I go to some social media account or just the feed, there's some anti-fan hating on Star Wars or whatever? It's like, dude, this has been happening for decades.
No. Okay. I didn't know this was the title of the thing, and that Martin actually used the term anti-fan.
Oh yeah.
And what's going on here is that the left, the people, the bad writers, are now trying to capture the term, try to make it theirs, so that the anti-fans are the people who don't like their woke shit, who don't like their failures, who don't like their propaganda. They try to frame that as that's what anti-fan means, when in reality the term anti-fan was conceived of to be fake fans, tourists, people who come into your hobby or into whatever interest group you have, pretend to be fans, and then want to change the actual substance of the thing. The substance of Ghostbusters, the substance of Lord of the Rings. That's how you get Rings of Power. Rings of Power was made by anti-fans, just some guy. You complained about that, rightfully so.
I would argue the fans of Martin have pretty much given up on him, because he's not going to finish whatever he started, and that's fine. If a writer doesn't want to write, that's up to him. But
I still believe he already finished the book. It's in his drawer. Next to his deathbed, and he's just afraid to release it while alive, because he's afraid of the critique.
And in his will, he's going to release it
that happened to
posthumously. He's going to just give it to his lawyer, and his lawyer says, "Okay, I'm going to divvy up his assets." Oh, look, there's this 7th book that was never published.
Look what we found.
Kind of like with Prince when he had that vault of all this unreleased music that he didn't give out into the world until he died. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but in this case, I think it would be because he's afraid of people laughing at it, because the intended ending was done in the show.
Oh no! There's no as
that's what there's no smart. There's a point. The problem is that Dump and Dumber, who ran the show, were were just ham-fisting it to that. They did their own bullshit, got the ending told by Martin, his intended ending, and then within an episode or two, just ham-fisted, twirled it around, warped it into this is it now. Bam. And that's why the ending is shit. The ending is not shit because of what the ending is, how the setup is. It's how the show brought it there. And I think George doesn't understand that, which doesn't speak much of his intelligence as a writer.
That's a possibility. I honestly think they just winged it, and George had nothing to do with it, because why would he let this happen the way it did? Something does not add up, and I don't really care because it's been so many years. And
the show went off the rails at the latest in season 5.
Right, but
it had no connection to the books anymore.
That's right, but
you can't bring it back to the books.
If you see George, even years before the last season, he wasn't really doing anything. He was just going to cons and talking to people and collecting his whatever percentages he got every year from the show, and that was it. He was living the high life. And maybe he did some writing. I know he did some writing for Elden Ring, but that was just background information on the characters in the story, and then they all die, and then the actual writer of Elden Ring takes that lore and just uses it to however he sees fit. Like, anyone could have done that for Elden Ring. I'm sorry, George, that was not some masterful piece of work. I mean, it just, you made some scary monsters. Wow. A kid could do that. Like, that's not special. So whatever he did, I don't know what involvement he's been doing. I don't know what writing he's been doing. I haven't read anything by him in over a decade. So what's going on? Is he just sort of getting existential and just like,
there's another thing. No, there's another thing. I think he believes if he releases the final book, he'll become irrelevant.
Oh, I don't know about that. That's weird.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's been irrelevant.
People have very strange trains of thought.
Well,
like, look at Stephen King.
Oh God, let's not look at Stephen King. He's boring as hell.
Man who can't
see, actual proof that I'm right.
No, no, there's plenty of authors that got angry with their works, like Agatha Christie. She did not like writing Poirot. She killed them off finally and did her own thing. So it depends on how it's treated, but this is so silly. Anyway, let's keep going. Here's Frog Jupiter. Thank you for the super chat. Just got here. Have you seen the Vosh Lowly horse folder? What?
I have not. I refuse to see the folder uncensored. But I know the story. Have you not heard of this Vosh?
I don't.
Smut.
No.
Damn.
I don't want to.
He finally did something that made everyone wake up to the fact that he's a pedophile.
Oh, let's not go into that, please. Who cares? Also, Game of Thrones is cringe, and JSG, okay, just some guy, defended the French film that shan't be. Yes, we know.
Yes,
we know what's going on.
That's why we're more critical with him now. And just as my financial situation improved, and I thought of supporting him on Patreon, he did that bullshit, and I thought, nope, not anymore.
Yeah.
You think Stephen King could write a better ending for Martin? No, George R. Martin.
Wait, if King wrote the ending for the
George R.
Song of Ice,
there would be, if King wrote
it'd be an ending,
Song of Ice and Fire, there would be even more sex, and it would be with even younger actors, and it would be on screen.
Are you referencing the one part in the goddamn It book?
That's not the only one where he does that.
Oh, good.
I'm not sure, because it's been so long since Stephen has made anything.
It's the only one where he does write an orgy, as far as I know, but it's not the only one where he writes in very strange, fetishistic way about children and their anatomy.
It's really hard to say, because both of them write large books, although King is way bigger. His books are a lot larger. And I don't think adventure stories are his thing. He's more of a slow, methodical, let's do this, then this happens. Whereas George has like 300 characters running around at the same time, and he has to.
But I'm just saying, I
connect the
don't,
dots.
I don't want to read books that contain lines describing the nipples of humans of 1-digit age as so rock hard like ice that they could cut glass. No.
Anyway,
No.
The nature of Martin's books, at least in the Song of Ice and Fire series, is each book is a kingdom. So unless you have an overarching plan, technically any writer can just fill in that book with what happens in the kingdom. But if there's no plan at the ending, then it's just going to be a free-for-all. And I don't think Stephen King or anyone else for that matter could do a decent job unless they talk to Martin, unless they're a fantasy author, unless they know how war and politics and all these other things in the fantasy world of his creation works. Not saying King can't acclimate to that, but it's just not his forte. So yeah, he could do it, but
I'd make the last book solely from the perspective of the White Walkers.
Oh, interesting. I have no idea how that would work. Anyway, yeah, King.
It'll read like Dune, but ice.
I don't know. There's too many variables. There's too many things happening in all the kingdoms, and they progress on top of each other. So it's not just one kingdom and then the same time frame another kingdom. It's one kingdom and then after that this kingdom and then after that this kingdom. So all these things happen in order. It's a lot. Like you got to have spreadsheets. You got to have characters and charts and graphs and figuring out who's who and who's doing what when. It's tough, and I don't think King writes that way. But it is possible. Could he do it? I don't know. Maybe 30 years ago. Maybe not today.
I don't want King to write it. I don't want Gaiman to write it because I know how Gaiman writes.
Gaiman could do it. He could.
He could. It would be something. It would. I would know. I would. When you see how Gaiman writes, and if you translate that to film, it would be. You would know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think Sanderson could do it. Gaiman could do it.
Sanderson, I would probably rather let do it.
Oh, yeah, he'd be my number one pick. But I'm just saying, in terms of the ability to go that way with all that information, Gaiman could probably pull it off in his own way, though.
He would just do his own standard...
bring the gods back.
Mythology story thing. The thing he always does.
Yeah,
I just started on the collection, the collection series of Spawn that released last year, and one of the first issues that wasn't written by McFarlane himself was an issue written by Neil Gaiman. And yes, that was in the early 90s, sure, but he wrote the same fucking shit he always writes. Suddenly, so you have this very personal story, very grounded, and Neil Gaiman comes in. He writes his one shot, and it's so contained it doesn't even affect anything. Like everything's back to normal at the end, and there's no reference to that until issues later when that story is picked up again, as if it never happened. And it is instantly, oh, we now have angels. And they do the angel thing, and Spawn now fights God instead of just doing this grounded thing and have the demon shit. And at the end, you have random quasi-mythological characters also pop up in between the bumps where Spawn lives. Like what's his name? I have a book by that guy, the esoteric guy who's also used in Castlevania. Saint Germain.
Oh.
So Saint Germain turns up, and then this other guy, and then Elvis is in the background. Suddenly all these people are out there. And then afterwards, these weirdos are never again between the bumps. Because it's just Neil Gaiman just instantly upped the myth nonsense. And it's just the whole bloody thing is just pages upon pages of ham-fisted exposition. It's horrible. It's annoying. And I understand McFarlane was fine with that because he wanted Spawn to be this thing like, do whatever, everybody can do whatever. Okay, thing done. But as a reader, it's disjointed shit. And I like technically, I like this stuff. But the way it was done there, garbage. Sorry.
All right. One more super chat. We'll get back to the video. Vladimir. Hey, Vladimir. How's it going? Reminder that only subhuman savages pour the milk before the cereal. Well, I mean, if you're going to make a mess, that's one way to do it, because whatever cereal you pour into the bowl is going to splash around, and that's silly. But if you're in a rush, you're not thinking, you're pouring whatever container you got, quick, boom, off you go.
And yes, Chad, it was Cagliostro, not Saint Germain.
Okay, 33 seconds in. Here we go.
On the kind of stating the truth. In a recent blog post, Martin talked about his dismay over the current state of the world, with the wars, the coming U.S. presidential election, the political divide, and the deaths of several of his favorite creators. He said that he took solace in many things, especially books, films, and TV shows, but that even there, the toxicity is growing. Quote, "It used to be fun talking about our favorite books and films, and having spirited debates with fans who saw things different. But somehow, in this age of social media, it is no longer enough to say, I did not like book X or film Y, and here's why. Now social media is ruled by anti-fans who...
No. That's all we say the same things. We say the same things. The people who go beyond that have been these radical feminists who always say, oh, the patriarchy is at fault for all this. Now the force must be female. We have to take everything back from the men, things they never had, have to be taken back. And we also need to insult the men on the way.
Yeah, and we have
and it all culminated in the Barbie movie, which showed that these people are so incompetent, they make the opposite of what they want to make.
We had was it Madam Web, that movie that just came out that no one seemed to enjoy?
I just heard about that from Clownfish TV.
Oh. Well, I mean, they're making stuff. We don't know who's it for, though. And it's just this constant Disney barrage of crap that no one was interested in. We didn't even know it was a thing. And then we get the Marvels, and that's just that flopped.
Yeah.
What was it? The Eternals. We had all these films that just flopped, and people think they want them.
Billions.
Well, close to that.
Trillions. Gazillions. And they're not made for anyone. Because they're made for the modern audience that exists as little as the new man that the socialists want to create.
Well,
that it's made for the new man.
Technically, I think Eternals could have worked well if the story was any good. They had amazing actors. They had amazing sets and CGI. Well, they did a lot of good CGI for the running animations.
I keep saying that about all of the shit that came out in the last 5 to 10 years. It's the writing in every single one.
Yeah, it's kind
except maybe Ghostbusters 2016. That was just a mess all over the place.
Yeah. So,
don't do that.
So yeah, it's kind of terrifying because everything checks the green box. Like, this is going to be great, and even the actors like, this is going to be awesome, and the writing is garbage. And they can't write a plot to save a story. So anyway,
would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love, and delight in dancing in the graves of anyone whose film has flopped.
No. That's just catharsis. Because this stuff keeps getting made. And in the beginning, people would still go into these movies and give them a chance.
Yeah.
But those chances have run out completely. That's the thing. That's why they flop now. These things, if you turned it around, if the movies right now would be released in, let's say, 2016, 2017, and the movies from 2016, 17 would be released now, we would have the same effect. The movies back then would have made a little bit of money, and the movies right now, if The Force Awakens released now, it would not make any money. Because everybody would know this is the ideology garbage, it's propaganda, it's badly written, it has a Mary Sue main character, it shits on the male characters, the story makes no sense. I'm not gonna waste my time on that. Simple as.
Well, I took the dare and saw the musical I told you, the Mean Girls, and apparently there was a Mean Girls 2 in 2011. There was a Mean Girls 1 in 2004 with Lindsay Lohan. This is not a movie for me. Like, I don't care. But it was so well put together, so well choreographed, great music. Well, as far as musicals go and choreographed dance routines go, it was fun to watch. It wasn't too cringy. Like, there were some this comedy is just so silly that it's definitely set up for teenagers to watch. But people who knew the originals go, oh yeah, this is great. So there are some entertaining films out there, but they have to be creative. They have to take the risk, and it's not some political mumbo jumbo. So that's what helps. Not having your ideology, whatever that thing in your head is, to be in just leaning into the frame as much as I can. No, just keep it in the background where it belongs. You can put whatever you want. It doesn't matter, so long as the story is there. The characters are there.
Not whatever.
Yeah, no, whatever you want.
There are limitations. I don't want child porn in the background.
Well, obviously.
See? Oh, obviously. You just said anything goes.
For a teenager story?
Uh-huh. Okay, so we have a boundary. We have limitations.
Well, no shit. What the hell? If I say it's an adult story, it's an adult story.
The problem is, with these people who make all this bullshit, they take your words and use the interpretation that they can take them in that fits the most what they want to do. You have to be precise in your articulation, or you're done.
Okay, well, when I think of a child show, I don't think of adult male porn.
Well,
okay, so I just...
Yeah, well, the left thinks of child shows that way. Do you remember what is that shit called? Big Mouth?
No.
That is just that. That is pedo shit. Well, you could say, oh, it's not made for children, it's made for 20-year-olds, but it's also made for children because that's who they target with that. Anyway, the people who delight in dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped, that's what the left would love to do with anything that doesn't contain their ideology, because they're sadistic. They do delight in that. So Martin is projecting here. What was I still want to watch that. What's the film called that is made about that's about actual putting down child trafficking rings?
Oh,
basically the opposite to Cuties.
Well, that came out. Was it last year? I think.
And the left wanted that movie to be gone, to not even show up, because they hate the narrative.
That was the Sound of Freedom, I think.
Sound of Freedom, thank you. Yeah. They would delight if that movie had flopped. Kinda didn't. Kinda stayed relevant.
That was not a happy movie. Yeah, that was not an entertaining movie.
Yeah. Kenobi flopped. I'm not happy it flopped. I would have rather it would have been a good show. Andor was a good show. I was happy. Because that felt like an actual Star Wars. So no, the only catharsis that is here, which is not dancing on the graves, the only catharsis is here when finally all these absolutely incompetent and malicious ideologues are getting fired, laid off, as they say nowadays. Fired. They're getting fired.
It is a bit odd for a writer to be this critical of fans who hate things that are hateful. Like, this is like, okay, if it's not good, you can freely express how bad it is, to however detailed and how much exposition you want to go with. So for him to say that is weird, especially as a writer, because if I'm a writer and I publish something and someone gives me criticism, I'm like, I'm going to listen to this guy because this is where I learn. And he's seeing it as this guy or he's seeing the general group of people who don't like whatever. I guess it's Marvel films. It could be anything. And he's going, oh, they're haters. It's like, well, why did
maybe you should ask why? Yeah, exactly. Why didn't I like the thing? Why did it flop? Why did the film flop? What was so bad about it that it flopped?
Anyway.
Also sad. If I had seen this a couple of years ago, I would have disagreed and said this was nothing more than Martin peddling a toxic fandom narrative. However,
Yeah.
since the pandemic, and especially over the course of 2023, my opinion has changed. What really did it was a response
No, you have just become more open about your socialism and that you don't understand economics and that you defend the pro-pedophile film made by pedophiles for pedophiles and given awards to by pedophiles.
and how people like Doomcock and mostly right-wingers copped the attitude that the season couldn't be good.
It isn't.
I don't want to, and even then, I'm okay with season 1 and 2 being weak of something. That's sort of the usual thing with Western shows, especially United States, everything in the Anglosphere.
Usually it's season 1 that's the weakest, and then season 2's where some
Season
stuff
2
starts to pick up.
being kind of okay, and then season 3 is solid. That was true for Star Trek: The Next Generation, for DS9, for Stargate SG-1. This is a common thing. Okay, I'm okay with that. So first season is weak. They need to find what they are, figure themselves out, more or less. But what this was 2 seasons of horribly written, absolutely dismally written, propaganda fetishism shit. And then season 3 is meh. Season 3 is what season 1 should have been.
Parts
Maybe.
of season 3, yes. Then it just goes off the rails again. So
Yeah, but you see the issue. So it cannot. If season 3 doesn't get it together, why bother further? And when season 1 and 2 aren't just the standard weak stuff, why should I bother with 3? Why should I even try to care? If they are worse than the standard weak stuff, there's no reason to continue. That's just masochism or idiocy.
it was probably...
And you don't have standards. Have some standards.
Yeah, because of its long history, it was probably the biggest member-berry idea executed ever. Like, I've never seen something like, oh, this is a reference to that. Here's Worf. He's doing his thing with the sword. And it's like, oh, my God. Like, every scene was like, I like that thing. I remember. And if you're not a fan, you're like, what's the big deal? Why is he decapitating people? Even though he's a man of peace, though, but he's still a warrior. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on for the sake of just being for the fans. And if that's what you want to make, then that's great.
And it's not the
But-
smart fans. Because the smart fans, they understand subtlety. They understand subtle humor.
Yeah,
Subtle
like,
implications.
but stuff with, like, the first season came back with, 7 and 9 still bisexual. And you're like, who cares? That has nothing to do with the story. Like, there's all this nonsense that's there because we have to have
Why
stuff
even
that-
is that a thing?
It's a story about Picard, and suddenly 7 and 9 having a girlfriend is like, what? Like, why is that here?
Why?
So there's a lot of stuff that the writer knew he couldn't do, and he had to do because it was carryover from the previous 2 seasons. So, like, I was arguing this with Kadish.
Oh, by the way,
for-
you know...
What?
With Cage?
What?
Sorry, I just wanted to say, making 7 of 9 bisexual is just as an unintentional implication that if you have a fucked up childhood, it fucks up your sexual brain patterns.
Okay. Either way,
You owned yourself again.
I was arguing with Kadish about, like, oh, everything's like fun again. It's entertaining. There's new stuff. It's not as violent. Blah blah blah. And then as the episodes kept going, I'm like, they're going back to the violent route. They're bringing up the big plots. It can't just be a normal plot. It has to be a big. Oh, the universe is under threat of the Borg. You're like, oh, we just did 2 seasons of the Borg. Now it's another Borg plot. So there's all this crap that just turned me. I didn't even end up watching past episode 3 or 4 because
Why are the Borg even still a thing? It's just punching bags.
because they have to delve
They-
into
we
Picard's
have to-
history, and his
we have
thing
to
is
super-
his whole history is I was assimilated. Wah! And they just keep bringing that up. Like, Picard got over
Yeah,
that.
and even in Next Generation, it was like for 5 minutes.
He got, after 2 seasons, he went back to France. He cried it out. He got better back on the saddle, and now he's a captain again. And they brought it back in the movies. That got dealt with again. They brought it back in Picard season 1. They brought it back in Picard season 2. It just kept coming back because there's nothing left.
There is no creativity here. Creative writers could have come up with new plots, new problems, interweave them with some of the old issues. That's normal, but overall, there's nothing happening here. It's just regurgitation. It's not even nostalgia.
And then there's the whole joke about him being a robot because he's or an android because he's no longer Picard. He's like, wait a second.
Ego Dreamer in the chat said it right. Why should I care about Puppet Picard? Picard's dead.
Oh yeah.
This is just some marionette that's dancing around on the screen. It's literally waving around a corpse in your face and saying, "Hey, do you like this? Do you remember this guy? Yeah, look how I make his arms wave. Don't you like him?"
We corrected his brain problem, so now he's just an android with exactly the same state except the brain problem, and he's going to die in like 10, 20 years. It's like, wait a second. No.
Oh, they cured his gender dysphoria?
Whatever his dumb brain problem that he had before that was slowly deteriorating his mind, fixed it because he's in a new body. But he says, no, I don't want to be immortal. I don't want any like superpowers. It's like, okay. So they just like, wait a second. No. You could live forever like Data, super genius, super strong. You could save humanity. You could do so much.
You could keep mocking Q forever.
But you want to die like a human because there's no like exposition into that. There's no like, why does Picard? Because that would be perfect if you wanted to have like Q. Imagine Q comes to him in the first episode of episode 1. I'm going to grant you immortality, and Picard's like, is this a joke, Q? What are you doing? And it was this whole interpersonal look at what is life and why he wants to do this if he was given the opportunity and what else he can do. And Q is like, I could write your name on the stars. You're going to forge an alliance between all your enemies. Like you could do all these things. Picard the savior, Picard the diplomat, blah, blah, blah. And no, I don't want to do it. Just, okay, you're in a new robot body, and that's that. No strength, no reflexes, no amazing memory recall, nothing different. Mm-hmm. It's the stupidest thing that, like, imagine if Commander Shepard was brought back into an immortal, almost indestructible, superior body, and he kind of is because Shepard is just whatever the plot needs him to be. But imagine he was like, oh, I'm invincible. I can think really fast and have perfect memory, and I can do everything. I could protect all my friends. I could figure stuff out. Okay, let's do that. I mean, that would be the obvious choice for any hero. You just go crazy. Like have this amazing cybernetic genius weapon running around. But no, we can't do that.
Ego Dreamer says, thought-provoking scenarios needs people who know how to think. It's gone, folks. Watch the Orville. The Orville is what Star Trek was, and now pretends to be.
Yeah.
This isn't Star Trek. This is live-action role-playing Star Trek.
All right.
And I've been at Star Trek labs. They are actually those were real fans who made those. They felt like Star Trek. This stuff doesn't feel like Star Trek. Not written like Star Trek.
It doesn't look like it. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't.
Everything is imitation. Everything the left makes is imitation without substance. They despise the substance.
All right. Let's keep going. Anyway.
Not for it to be good, but that it shouldn't be good. That it shouldn't be allowed to be good. That the show.
No.
That's fine. It's fine. Yeah, we know what you're saying.
No.
We know what you're saying.
It couldn't be good. Not that it shouldn't be. It couldn't be.
The Star Trek franchise and the entertainment industry as a whole can't be allowed to get better. It must remain bad because reasons. No actual reasons were given, but the implication...
There's plenty of reasons. We could look at the trailers and go, this is going to be a rehash of old stories. These characters are unoriginal. This is nothing new aside from having member berries and people going, ooh, I remember Data had a daughter. Maybe he has another one, blah, blah, blah. What's the It's the Borg. Wow. Second season, it's the Borg. Third season, it's the Borg. Like, it's just stupid.
What's the fucking straw man here? We all wish it would be good, but this can't be. Not that it shan't be, it won't be. It is impossible to become good. It is written by people who hate the material, or don't like the material, or don't care about the material, and who get told make it woke and make it boring. Oh, by the way, explosions and action, but it's still boring. Because these people managed to make action boring.
They gave
on top of everything else, because there's nothing makes sense. When nothing makes sense, the action has no point.
They gave the Romulans this whole extra like female assassin sects who have this amazing vision of the future by Mass Effect enemies. They're going to come and eat the galaxy. You're like, oh, that's not original.
The Romulans are now just Dark Eldar, and the Borg are just Necrons, who have the super highest, bestest technology ever, but everybody can beat them easily.
And the Romulans train with swords that are so sharp you can decapitate people, and it's just this dumbest. Choose life, my friend. Some weird saying.
That's why I said that. That's why I said they're just Dark Eldar.
It's become they're trying to be Dungeons and Dragons or some nonsense like that, and you're just like, this is not what Star Trek ever was or should be. If you wanted D&D, go watch Babylon 5, at least done respectably. Not necessarily.
Yeah, that's sci-fi D&D.
That's effectively in communication, at least, is very D&D. In terms of like, ranger running around. Yeah, he's a ranger running around. They called rangers, but who cares? So, it's fine. It works on the idea of
he never shot a bow.
Right. There was no training on how to shoot a bow or talk about how they had alliances with the dwarves or whatever. It's like, no, just do their own thing. So there's all kinds of fun things in properly set up stories that we've had for decades, long times ago. And when you see this crap, you're like, okay, you've got 12 episodes, whereas with Star Trek TNG, you had, was it 23 a season or 24 a season? That's a lot of work for 6 months or 8 months, whatever the timeline is. So it's a little different than what they're used to. They have a lot more time, and you expect a lot better quality when you have more time because you're not on deadline, or a longer deadline, rather. And if you don't get that return, then it's like, okay, how did this cost so much when you have more time and the quality drops? How does that work? That does not follow the rules of work. So something happened, and I don't know what. You can speculate at what that is, but there's plenty of clues from trailers, from interviews, from all the sneak peeks you get from magazines to showcase how bad this was going to be. And I gave it 2 episodes each season. I gave it, say, okay, what are they doing? And I thought the first season, this has some promise. And then the second episode fell, and I'm like, ooh, boy. And then the third one is like, oh, this is all downhill. And it happened the second season.
Don't forget the red flags. Like, let's add at least they didn't change the race and sex of any characters, though they did with the sexual orientation. Yeah. And then they added a black woman who's a drug addict.
Oh, the political episode. Oh, the ozone and the immigration, the ICE agents. You're just like, oh boy, America.
As if they didn't. They already had Whoopi Goldberg.
Gun
Why do you need
control.
to add another black woman? Who's a drug addict?
she's a boozing drug addict.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and the same. This is the thing I also hold against the Dune movie, which is generally pretty book accurate, but they changed Liet Kynes into a black woman with dreadlocks, and for the same reason, I didn't buy the new board game that was based on the movie, which I've heard is done pretty decent in regards to its mechanics, but they used the images from the movie. Where Liet Kynes is a black woman with dreadlocks, and the same goes for the Dune game that was made by, what's the name of that French company? They made Northgard. Northgard's good. I forgot the name. And why? Why? What's the reason to change the character? Why? Why do you do that? Why? What? Do you have a good reason to make that? No, you don't. You just do it for political fetish points and to say, oh, it's this now, as if that implies something important about the character or he has big life problems. No, it's not. This is the most boring ass bullshit you could imagine.
So
The
this is
author did that well.
This is just some guy's inability to comprehend media, whether it's advertising or interviews or what have you, to not see the clues beforehand, and that's fine. He doesn't.
No, it's just his mask is off.
Well,
his mask is off.
either that.
He only cares about Lord of the Rings.
Whether he has the intelligence to foresee what's going to happen, or he just doesn't know any better and he chooses a bias, I don't care.
No.
But this is
Look,
a bad analysis of what he's trying to say. Anyway, let us keep going. Let us keep going. We're fine.
This thing is just some guy. He cares about it when it's done to Lord of the Rings because he loves Lord of the Rings. Mauler cares about it when it's Star Wars because he loves Star Wars. But neither cares about it when it's done to anything else. That's why Mauler praised God of War Ragnarok, although it was woke shit that was badly written. Same here.
Well, that's assuming they have interest and knowledge. I would assume neither, but you know.
Oh, and it's the same reason Anita Sarkeesian cared about it when it was about Buffy, and it was suggested to change Buffy into a black woman. And Anita Sarkeesian threw a hissy fit of, no, don't change it, not Buffy.
Oh, God.
But everything else needs to be changed.
Anyway.
But not the thing I like. There's a pattern here.
Would break their narrative that Hollywood sucks if the shows and the movies stop sucking. This runs completely counter to their position of wanting the good old days back. How can you get back those great films and shows if you never give anyone a chance to make them? It's almost like they don't believe that.
But it's chance for what, 5 to 10 years?
They had 3 seasons of Picard and they all sucked. The same with Star Wars. The same with what was
everything. Hey, just some guy. You just need to give Rings of Power more chances.
Oh no, let's not go there.
But that's it.
So boring.
That's what he asks of everyone. You just need to give Rings of Power more chances. It'll be good. It'll be. I'm sure it's going to be like the good old days where it's J.R.R. Tolkien accurate the next season. And if it's not then the season after that. Just give it more money.
Every time we bring up Rings of Power, it's such a boring topic. There's nothing to talk about, and you just like it's bad. It's just
but it's his shtick. He loves Lord of the Rings. He loves Tolkien. He hates Rings of Power. A lot of his videos are about Rings of Power. That's why I bring this up. This is his point, and there we go. That's that.
All right.
It's almost like they don't believe the things they say they believe.
Yes, they do.
A similar thing happened with The Last of Us, where the people who said they wanted proper adaptations got exactly that and hated it.
What?
These same people spent years complaining.
That was not a proper adaptation. Look at this hobgoblin on the left. That's not Ellie. They had an actress that looked more like her. They cast Pedro Pascal as oh God, names. Mere names. Joel, yes. They could have had a better actor for him. Cast lookalikes. What happened to that?
Or makeup. Remember the prosthetic makeup?
Yeah, cast people who actually look like the people. Like, oh my God, Lord of the Rings. The characters actually looked somewhat like the characters described in the books. Here they can't even cast them like the characters in the video games. There are people who look like that and are decent actors. But no, we have to give it to people with big names. And hobgoblins with fetal alcohol syndrome.
Voice for radio, but face
and rewrite the story. Turn Joel into a loser, and also insert a pro-communism episode where somehow in the post-apocalypse there's a commune that works, that has enough resources, where people are not fighting over the limited resources in the post-apocalypse, where hey, how do they farm in this world anyway, where there's all these zombies coming around?
All right.
Hey, it's bullshit.
Here's another super chat by Frog Jupiter. Thank you, sir. Conquest's first law applies here. Okay. Yeah.
Not familiar with that one.
Oh, it's basically that if you have a topic that I know, that you're reactionary. You either are wrong because I know more than you, or because you're criticizing the thing I love, you're wrong.
Okay.
It's a political thing.
Yeah, and I think just some guy, some fuse burned during the whole Cuties debacle, where he called everyone who called out Cuties for what it is, which is a pro-pedo movie, as pedophiles. Because it takes one to know one. It takes one. You can only see it if you are one. Dude, that's some fucking denial. Let's call everyone the thing that they don't want to be.
Yeah, using this show is not a great. It's such a mixed review show that it's like, the fans got what they want, but they're not happy. It's like, we didn't get what we wanted. That's why we're unhappy. What are you talking about? Anyway.
Complaining about how girls are shoved into stories and how the stories were all about their sexuality and had no substance. But when they got not one but 2 episodes presenting gay characters as complex people to
Oh my God, dude. Do you realize that was not in the original story? They brought in, what was it, Keith Olbermann? What's his name? I can't remember his name. Who played one of the 2 gay guys in the first game. But they expanded on it. It's like, this is not what we want. We want Joel and Ellie going through the post-apocalyptic world trying to survive. That's the first game.
Hey, you only have, 10 episodes?
Yeah.
Let's add filler.
Let's add an entire episode about these 2 gay men, which...
Inconsequential filler that was at best alluded to, if you want to interpret it that way, but you could also interpret it the other way, where the guy who wrote the note is just projecting, and it's all in his head. But hey, we make it for the modern audience, which doesn't exist.
Yeah. All right. Another super chat from Dillybot. Thank you for the $10. Look out. This is a waste of money. Woke and anti-woke people are all the same. Cringe. There are more pressing matters going on in the world than cultural garbage. Just stop.
I will call you out on in the best of cases, you don't understand what's going on. In the worst of cases, this is gaslighting and trying to minimize the whole issue. Because woke is an arm, an outlet, a product, a tool of socialism. Anti-woke is against that.
It's kind of like
against the socialism. Most of the horrible things going on in the world right now is because of socialist politicians, activists, leaders in the world. What's his name? The Argentinian guy, Milei. Javier Milei. He called it out.
Yeah, I remember that interview.
He went to the World Economic Forum, the fucking socialists. Globalism is socialism. They always want global socialism. It's what they always wanted. Nazis wanted it. Stalin wanted it. Mao wanted it. That's why it's called the International. That's their international organization where all the radical and the not so radical looking socialist parties are in. They made a fork called the Progressive Alliance, where only those who pretend to be pro-democracy are in, where the United States Democrats are also in. It's all socialism. Well, Canada's in there. Trudeau with his stupid party is in there.
Let's not start that.
Just listing it. That is the problem. That's where all the shit comes from.
Either way, I don't know anyone who's called themselves anti-woke. It's usually the people who are the same type of people that call you reactionary. It's just another name for them to throw at.
I think it's a term that the woke use to label their opponents.
Yeah. When we criticize these people, they call us reactionary, anti-woke, anti-agenda, anti-progressive, whatever they're for. And we're like, no, we don't care what you want to do, but we will criticize you when you do stupid crap, whether it's in media or all the crap that's happening in your country right now. I'm sure you have a list of problems that you have to deal with, as I do in my country. So this is nothing new. And because it has a media associated with it, and we point out the little elements of a TV show or video game that have these things, they think, oh, you're just a hater. It's like, I'm just making observations which I know are not effective to the overall experience of what a game is supposed to be.
Yeah, and what woke does, which is an age-old, a century-old socialist strategy, is calling everything is political and thereby using that as a justification to politicize everything, because not everything is political, but you can politicize everything. And if you politicize something, that means you want to have a say in it of how it should be.
Yeah, imagine these
and they
people,
do that with everything.
Imagine these people weren't political, they were religious or whatever. Pick any ideology, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And they see you as not part of them, so they're going to say, oh, this is a person without God. He's a heathen. He is without the spirit. He's evil. It's like, wait a second. I'm just saying, what are you talking about? What is this crap? Why did you say this? Why are you doing this? This is not helping. This is not good. This is not good quality, whatever the media or thing they want to achieve. So it's just a criticism that people lobby or throw at you for disagreeing with them. They don't engage with you. They don't talk to you. Say, well, I think X. Why do you think Y? They don't do that. And we saw that with Trudeau, with the trucker rally. Oh, they're doing bad things. I'm not going to talk to them, whereas all the other political leaders did because they wanted to find out what was going on.
Yeah. And I do not know what Mr. Metokur thinks, as you mentioned him. Not everyone knows what this ideology actually is and how it functions, what methods it uses. And big companies just want to sell you Toyota, is what the super chatter said afterwards. And no, big companies want to make money. And a lot of that money they got through buying into the ESG bait from BlackRock, which was a backdoor way of bribing them to make them make woke policies and woke products, which cost them money in the end. It turned them into propaganda machines that in the process destroyed them. The same is currently happening to Hasbro. Hasbro lost $1 billion in the last quarter. $1 billion. They're firing Wizards people finally, hopefully the bad ones. This is the one problem. And then you have corporations. Corporations are a different thing from companies. Corporations have state connections, government connections, like Volkswagen has. Volkswagen now has Green Party people on the board, and they force Volkswagen to go hard into the electric vehicle market and fade out combustible engines. Volkswagen is going to die from that. Everybody knows that. The Green Party wants Volkswagen to die because the Green Party is a Maoist party, which means culture war first, everything social war second. They want to destroy that. They want to. There's an anti-nationalistic sentiment in that as well. That doesn't mean nationalism good. No, it's just anti-nationalism is as bad. It's as dumb, and it's actively destructive. That is what's going on. And if you destroy Volkswagen, the whole north of Germany is dead.
This is an ongoing thing, even in North America. Let's not get into that. It's kind of off topic, but that's okay.
And not their sexuality, they hated it. These same people claim they had no problem with not being the target audience for movies or shows or games, but then lost their minds over the Barbie movie because it wasn't made for them, was exactly as advertised, and didn't bomb like they expected.
It was advertised.
It was not as advertised, Mike.
It was advertised for everyone. That's the funny part. It was basically for everyone. It's not this. Oh, it's just the kids. No, it's fun for the whole family.
It was advertised as for everyone. It was intended to brainwash into feminism, and it achieved the opposite because it's so badly written. It just shows how I brought us up before. These writers are so delusional that they accidentally give away their true intentions and true beliefs and think that will convince people. The author did not intend that people took away from it that Barbieland is better off with the Kens in charge, where everyone's happy, instead of just the Barbies. And that the Barbies who don't like that have to brainwash all the other Barbies who are happy now into rigging the election to get the Kens back onto the beach where they are homeless. You're insane. I'm sorry. I don't know what fantasy world you're in, but apparently you're just hanging out with commies at this point.
to be any joy in what many of these people do outside of clapping when another movie tanks at the box office.
Oh, by the way, the wonderful song at the end, I am enough. They can play on words on I am enough. That's a line you come to or you learn when you heal from narcissistic abuse, which is what Barbie was doing to Ken. She was narcissistically abusing him. And the offer for this was somehow bad. Everything's upside down. It's hilarious. And you don't get it. I don't know why.
Or supporting a film because they think it'll own the left, or becoming unbelievably silent when their friends make the same kind of terrible stories they criticize all the time.
Such as?
Now, before anyone says it, yes, I know I've made hundreds of videos criticizing shows, movies, and books. In fact, I've made more videos about the stuff I don't like than the stuff that I do.
And now you defend the shit.
That said, what you won't find are videos where it's just me bitching about SJWs or wokeness or fucking pronouns.
Yeah, that's because you're a dumb socialist.
Wait a second.
Who thinks these are good things.
So
you think pronouns are okay. That there's no problem with that bullshit.
So he admits, I make a bunch of negative videos about things I don't like, but I don't complain about other people who do something similar, even though you're doing that right now.
I don't complain about all the woke things, but I'm totally not a socialist.
This is like...
I have one of my avatars that I use for my videos has the resist the revolution fist, which is a symbol of the militant left, which is the actual original symbol of modern fascism that comes out of Italy. It was the workers' movement in Italy that became the fascist party of Mussolini that had their advertisement posters where all the workers all raising their fists, and that would become one giant fist, and that looked exactly like that. That is where that comes from. That is a fascist symbol. Socialism is fascism, just some guy. It's a sad truth, but you need some radical acceptance. That's the only radicalism you need.
I don't just talk about what I don't like. I talk about why I don't like it and how I think it could be fixed. My reasons aren't just because it's woke. That's the difference between me and most of the popular.
Oh God!
We have explained why woke is bad.
This is another.
Can you just use the shorthand?
He's in an echo chamber. Oh, no one does it like I do it. I explained myself. It's like they don't. Are you serious? You've never heard them before? What is
they
this?
Go into detail because they need to fill the 10, 15, 20 minutes for the YouTube algorithm.
People make like half an hour, 2-hour videos on things they dislike, and they tell you why, and they show you why, that this is why this is bad, and why it's no good, why it doesn't work.
Or if you're H Bomber guy, you make an hour-long video that says nothing.
Well, that's just a standard video essayist.
Well, what ends up happening is these people who don't listen to the video say, well, you're not providing a solution. It's like, I don't have to.
The only solution to socialist bullshit is to end socialist bullshit.
This is like saying, oh, there's a plot hole in your story. It's like, well, what's the solution? Don't have a plot. Like, well, you want me to fill it in for you? Like, what do you want? Do you want me to connect the dots? Like, oh, don't do that. Do something else that makes sense. Like, let's go stop the bad guy. Let's not have a party on the Citadel for 2 months. Well,
if you want me to be a script doctor, you need to pay me.
Like what? Like I can. It's not hard. It's really easy. That's why I show the flaw, and you go, oh yeah, that's really stupid. Don't do that. Okay, anything but that, you'll be fine. I was like, yep, pretty much.
I think either he's in denial now, or he's consciously gaslighting.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want an actual answer to most of these arguments, it's do not have ideology in your story. If you get rid of any ideology and just focus on the story, you'll be better. You'll make sense. It'll be logically connected between the scenes. You won't have an interlude where, hey, let's talk about taxation. It's like, why? The Star Wars Empire doesn't give a shit. It's there, but we don't care. It's just a part of the background. We don't need to talk about how the Trade Federation taxes and how that affects Naboo and blah. It's like, no, we don't care. Get on with it.
And I have to correct myself. I did actually have him on Patreon. I even exchanged some messages, but I took him off. Damn it. Now I feel bad.
Okay, fine.
But not as bad as about giving Dev money.
Oh. All right. Anyway, we're more than halfway done. That's good.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why my videos have never been that popular is not just me complaining about the woke
Your videos were pretty popular.
left or playing to right-wing identity politics. I'm not doing it for clicks or because it's trending or because I'm trying to stick it to the commies. I'm doing this because these are the things I actually like, and I don't like how these stories are being treated by the various industries. There's nothing wrong with pointing out that a lot of the movies...
I do not understand what he's trying to say, because he's complaining about other people that complain, but he's complaining in the right way. His way is the better way.
I think it's doublethink. What he just said is doublethink.
It's such a... The other critics, they don't like the things, and they don't explain themselves. I like the things, and I don't like them. And it's like, what? I don't...
I explained myself in detail. The others don't. They just call things woke. I don't care about whether it's woke or not. I think, it's so obvious. So aside from him being a socialist in denial, at least that's what I took from the debate discussion he had with, was it Nick Rekieta? Is his entire viewership collapsed after he defended cuties. And basically insulted his audience, being pedophiles. So now, in order for his channel to survive, he has to pedal to the left. He has to take the other side's position. He has to switch sides, but he won't do it for Lord of the Rings. But everything else, but not Lord of the Rings, because that's too close to his core. So at least he has some line he won't cross. Good for him. But man, there's some things you just can't recover from, or at least talk well about. Maybe there's some. I always hope maybe it's not him, but he's just trying to cover for some friend of his that he cares about, and therefore that works through him. Could be the case. I just really hope it's not him.
It could be a girlfriend. I've seen that happen a lot of times, actually. Who knows? Anyway.
I thought he's gay.
Guy friend, who cares? It doesn't matter.
shows, comics, games, and music coming out today just aren't that good. There's a lack of vitality, passion, and basic creativity in so much of what comes out. Far too many people with control over these properties and industries are more interested in their political agendas than a good story.
Really?
They're so obsessed with it that...
So you do agree with our critique of why The Last of Us show is shit, why the Wheel of Time show is shit, why Picard is shit. So you do agree with that. Why Star Wars?
So the people complaining are right, and you agree with them, but they're not complaining
somehow.
Yeah, they're not complaining the way that he complains, because his way is better.
This is your brain on doublethink.
Holy jeez.
Could actually get their agenda across if they told a good story. That's perfectly fine to point out. However, when the argument becomes claiming that the left, literally every left-leaning person on the planet, is incapable of creating anything and has...
Oh, black and white straw man.
No one's making these grand generalizations unless it's some other bombastic guy on YouTube. I don't know. No one's saying because cutie sucks, therefore all things suck. You're like, no, we're not saying that.
Because cuties is pro-pedo shit. Everything is pro-pedo shit.
Yeah, that's silly. I mean,
no. Stay away from the strategies and behaviors found in narcissistic manipulation techniques. Because that's what this is. This is sophistry. Come back to the ground, please. You can. I know you can do it. For years, you've done rational content. This is irrational. The left won't love you.
As I said before, I watched the remake of, I keep repeating myself, the Tina Fey movie of Mean Girls. You might think it's a bit girly, and it is, and for kids, and it is. But it's great entertainment. It's fun. And if you don't like it, that's great. It's not for you. It's totally fine. I like musicals. I like going to the stage productions. And to see that in a movie with CGI and everything perfectly cut, and the story is on point, that's all I need. I'm entertained. I don't need a grand, epic, change the world story. Just a girl going through high school, falling in love with a guy, and a few musical numbers and dance numbers. That's it. There's nothing. There's a few little like homosexual vibes, because that's what stage production is. There's always a few little vibes like that, but it doesn't detract from the story. So we're very sensitive. We're fully aware of these elements in stories that a lot of left-leaning authors from Hollywood, because they're mostly left-leaning in Hollywood, are. We're aware of that. But we know the difference between someone getting on a soapbox and someone just sort of having fun and having a fun story and having the actors and performers do their thing to entertain you.
Leaning is a very diplomatic way to put it.
You could have any undertone, you could have any ideology. It doesn't really bother me. It could be a religious story about not having premarital sex or whatever. Like, the story could be about anything. But if you focus on the entertainment element of drama and comedy through the avenue of music and dance, that's it. You've done a good job, even if the story is not that interesting and it's just a girl going through the steps or a guy going through school or whatever. If it's done properly, it doesn't matter what your underlying message is.
If Hollywood was full of Nazi ideologues, it wouldn't bother you?
I don't know how you would market. How would you market that? I'm going to write a story about a guy in Nazi Germany who gets appointed to the Third Reich and the military.
Smut, this is the point. This is the same mistake he made, just unintentionally, of a broad generalization about a thing. He made it as a straw man. You made it out of good intentions.
Well, I'm trying to think.
But there's always a line. There's always a line.
I'm trying to think of a story that you could write with that background ideology, but how would it be expressed is the issue.
Oh, no. Not with that background ideology, but if Hollywood was full of that, it would come out like that. And it would be like all the Nazi propaganda movies. However, there were, in Nazi Germany, there were movies made without the ideology in them during the war. The most famous one was made in 1944, called the Feuerzangenbowle, translates to the Fire Tongue Bowl, which is a light-hearted, witty comedy. And it was supposed to contain the ideology, but the makers of it, one of them, Heinz Rühmann, it was their defiance to instead make a completely timeless movie that is watched to this day every year by Germans around Christmas to New Year's. I watched it recently with some people from the server. I have to better the subtitles if we do it again, though. The original subtitles are a mess. But enough people understood it. Mike, you were there, weren't you?
Yep.
What did you think of the movie?
It was wholesome.
Wow. See, and this is the thing. Hollywood could be full of ideologues, of absolute crazy people, but it could still make fine stuff. And sometimes it does. Andor was fine. The I don't know if Sound of Freedom was an actual Hollywood production. I don't know how that's actually connected. I know you have some a few movie studios, not all of them in Hollywood. But not everything that comes out of there is full of the crap. And Top Gun Maverick, that was an exceptional movie without the crap. It is possible. It's just that when your movie studios are full of ideologues, most of the stuff that will come out is ideological garbage. Because it's not made to be good movies, it's made to be propaganda. And people don't like to watch propaganda. Like, all the propaganda movies made during times are forgotten. Not just because they're locked away, but because people wouldn't even bother watching them. And this is just that. It's just the modern day where everything's made for the modern audience, which doesn't exist. Where Japan and other places are told it's made for Western standards. I'm sorry, the West doesn't like this stuff. And somebody who knows Japanese, please tell the Japanese, they need to know this is not what the West likes. The Western people do not like this. We like this as little as the Japanese like it. We like the Japanese stuff, the stuff that the Japanese make. That's great. That's why it makes so much money here. And it stops making money when it gets, in quotation marks, westernized. Because it isn't westernized, it is censored by a bunch of crazy people in the middle of the process, whom we did not elect for that. We didn't give them the power to do that. They just put themselves there. And we need to get them away. That's my TED Talk.
All right, we got a minute left.
Never been creative, to the point that you're now trying to claim that Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, was actually conservative. You've lost the plot.
When
you're complaining about how you can't see your values in the media you consume, and you don't realize that's literally the same as you saying you need to see yourself reflected in the media,
we're not saying
you've
that either.
lost the plot. When you actually...
Oh no, the left is saying that.
Yeah, but
that's the narcissism speaking. They actually say that, but I have never heard anyone that Gene Roddenberry was a conservative.
Yeah, but no one's saying I need to see myself in my character. It's like, what do you like?
No, that is what the left says.
Yeah,
but
he's saying this. But he's saying this to conservatives,
the past 5 years?
Or whoever he disagrees with.
He's saying this as a comparison to that's the bullshit the left says, which is totally untrue. Yeah.
The point that you're now trying to claim that Gene Roddenberry, the left, literally don't even realize that they could actually get their agenda across if they told a good story. That's perfectly fine to point out. However, when the argument becomes claiming that the left, literally every left-leaning person on the planet, is incapable of creating anything and has never been creative, to the point that you're now trying to claim that Gene Roddenberry, the creator...
So he's saying people on the right...
was a straw man?
Yeah, he's saying people on the right look at people on the left saying stuff like Gene Roddenberry was conservative or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's still attacking his detractor or whatever he thinks is a detractor.
Yeah, I need a citation for that. You need to tell me who said that. Because, just some guy was very meticulous about taking apart quotes that he put on screen for the Rings of Power videos and other things like that. Where is the citation for this one? I don't want to have to get the deer out for this. Probably won't come out anyway. The other straw man is the claim that, the left was never created. That is wrong. I don't know where you get that from, but citation needed. Who is the idiot that says that? Of course there's creativity there. Fucking all the arts universities are full. Not the least of them creative, but there are creative ones there. And they have leftist politics because that's usually what goes to arts universities. Just like the Austrian painter, although he had no perspective, which is why he got rejected.
Creator was actually conservative. You've lost the plot. When you're complaining about how you...
That's a reference to, I assume, Master Chef or something. I don't know.
I would agree with Darren Gatewood, who's saying by today's standards he is conservative.
Oh, really?
By today's standards of the left, Gene Roddenberry would probably be conservative.
Well, yeah, but everyone is.
Because the Overton window is outside the political compass at this point.
Yeah, well, it's a weird, sad statement to make, but yeah.
Can't see values in the media you consume, and you don't realize that's literally the same as you saying you need to see yourself reflected in the media, you've lost the plot.
Yeah, he's saying that is as dumb as false, by implication as false, as having to see yourself reflected in the media, which is what the left, the woke, always want.
Now I want to know, because he used that term twice, what he means by "you've lost the plot," because we've heard that from Gordon Ramsay when he's critiquing.
You don't know that idiom?
Well, not in this context anymore, because now he's talking about.
No, it's just saying that you went insane. What you do is insane. What you think is insane. You're irrational.
Well, when I hear it from like Kitchen Nightmares or wherever I heard it originally, it was a chef who was making a thing and then just put a different ingredient in, or forgot this or that, or did something horribly wrong. But they still served the dish.
You left reality. You've lost the plot. You left. That's what it means, Smud. I'm the artist. I know this metaphor. That's sad.
I use it through the example I heard it from. I don't know exactly what other contexts.
You only heard this from Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah, I use it because I know when we're talking about a story and the writer is going off the rails in another, subplot or a thread or whatever. It's like, well, now you've literally lost the plot because it's over there and you're going in the opposite direction. So that's when I use it. But
just some guy. The people who made all of these shitty woke movies and series and why they're so bad is because they all have to put the self-insert bullshit Mary Sue character in there to see themselves. That's why they make the race changes for no reason and put these characters in there that are the worst stereotypes you could ever imagine. So are these things bad because they're woke? Woke has a pattern. And it's been long enough that enough people at this point know the pattern and therefore can just shorten it to woke, and everyone else will understand, oh, this contains that pattern, which is defined by what we've seen all this time. That's how definitions naturally come to be. It's not about what you want it to mean, it's what it is in practice. So you defeated your own argument again.
All right.
You lose your mind at the mere presence of black, female, gay, or trans characters.
Woke argument. Fucking straw man. Oh no, it's a blah blah blah. Trans characters. Tell me when the left has ever made a good representation of a trans character. Tell me. Because all they've ever shown is ugly fetishists or women playing trans women who just contain the stupid ideology.
Yeah,
if it's medical hospital shows, it's just again peddling the ideology bullshit that is anti-science.
Yeah, the only time I remember a trans character in mainstream story or primetime TV show was Becker, which was a Ted Danson show. He played a doctor, and there was the girl from DS9, the Terry Farrell. She was the diner person who would serve him food. And one time, an old friend or a friend who knew one of his old friends in med school came to visit him, and she knew everything about him and blah blah blah. And finally, it's revealed that this was the friend, and they transitioned into a woman. And that was it. That was the whole episode. Like, he had no idea, and it dawned on him at the end. So that was completely fine. Like, everything was just like he was meeting someone he thought. He didn't know where they were. They were coming into town eventually. He's waiting. And there was nothing political about it. Like, again, this Becker is like a 20...
How 20 years?
At least 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, that was before the woke shit.
Right after
I wanted
DS9.
to bring up... I wanted to bring up a 30-year-old example where that was done well, and that was in the Al Bundy show, Married with Children.
Oh, really?
There was an episode, where Al got his old friends together to play football against some other people who were mean to him, and he got his old team back together, and one of them had transitioned to a woman. And I made it funny because, played by a woman, but had retained the strength of a woman. So when giving a handshake, Al was going down like the Dunn in Captain Marvel. That was funny. It was also accurate because, nope. When you transition, you keep that muscle mass. You can stop training, all right, but man, that muscle mass is there, especially if you've been trained out at some point. That easily comes back, hormones or no. So that was fun, but these are old examples.
Yeah.
Now the woke shit, it doesn't do anything right. It just does all this fetishization crap. The stuff that is not the actual medical condition, neither in theory nor in practice.
Yeah,
it's replaced by how the ideology wants to see it. They can't actually portray trans correctly, because if you did that, you could not see who is trans.
Well, that's kind of the premise of these shows. I don't know exactly because it's a comedy. With Married with Children is just like this big satire on what it means to be married with a unloving wife, etc. But with Becker, the whole premise was he's a single doctor who's constantly smoking. He's always critical. He's a big cynic, and he's never gonna find happiness. And it's all these things that come by him never affect him. He's sort of alone and never opens up his heart. That's kind of the tragic, dramatic element, even though it is a comedy. So to have this best friend who knows everything about him, and this is his wife or whatever, come and say hi, like, wow, you remind me of my buddy. Like, that was like, oh, this is a guy, or rather a lady I connected with, and blah, blah, blah. And that was part of the show. They did that every episode with him and Terry Farrell and a bunch of other guys. The blind guy was hilarious. Like, there's all this stuff happening around him that he's not paying attention to, and he doesn't learn his lesson until right near the end of the story, where the two hook up and they actually realize how empty her life was that she hooked up with him, and then she left the show. It was kind of funny how that worked out.
Yeah, and the best thing that we get, the best thing that we could get today from all this woke shit is that stupid brain-damaged NPC character scientist in Mass Effect Andromeda who does all this travel to another galaxy to start a new life, transitioned in the cryopod. Fully, they have the super technology where you can actually change your sex fully, biologically, completely. So gender dysphoria is not a problem in that world. And that character just sounds depressed and then tells you that she's been a man. Nobody with actual gender dysphoria, especially who transitions, would tell you that. Nobody. Like, you have the dream solution, the magical blue fairy magic spell. Why would you tell that to anyone? That's insane. That, anyone who knows anything about the topic for real would immediately say, yep, that was a false positive. That was a false diagnosis. That person was not actually trans. That was some idiot with an escapism, projected that onto the gender issue and went off to another galaxy and did everything wrong, and is still not woken up. The entirety of the characters in Andromeda, by the way, they come across to me like not as, oh, we built this ark in case the Reapers win to have them in another galaxy. No, it came across to me as, let's scoop up all the worst, most incompetent people in the galaxy, stuff them into a ship, and send them into the sun, another galaxy, to be rid of them. That's what the characters in Andromeda, the people that go there, seem like to me. And you're killing most of them anyway. It's great.
Well, it's the premise of Mass Effect 2, but we didn't know what to do, so we'll just go further and longer. Like, okay.
Yeah, so we sent all the worst people into the other galaxy in the hopes of restarting civilization.
I don't know.
Dumbest of the dumb.
No one really knows what the premise of that game was. It doesn't make any sense.
Else has happened. They're just there. You've lost the plot.
Okay.
No, they're not just there. They're pushing all their gay and race stuff into our faces for no good reason. That for no reason they say these lines of, I am into men. I have a wife. Like, why? Is that relevant to anything? Why do you bring that up? Why is this so overrepresented that like 20% of the characters are now gay? In reality, it's maybe 3%. So yeah, if you have like 100 characters, okay, there's a gay one there somewhere. But no, we have like 10 characters, and 3 of them are gay. 2 are trans. And another one is a magical invented gender thing. I'm sorry. Our species would be dead. Quite so. especially with the birth rates we have since the 80s. You are now making woke talking points, socialist apologia. Why?
And attacking Martin for calling this out only proves him right. That these people take pleasure out of not liking things and are more about sticking it to the other side than actually enjoying any of this stuff.
You could usually make the cathartic argument. It feels good to get that off your chest.
Yeah, but his straw men don't prove anything.
And people are free to do that. I'm not saying that they can't, or that I too don't like to partake in a player hater's ball.
Wait a second. What are you... You know all this bad stuff? It's okay. I do it too. Like, you made a 5-minute video, and now you coming to this conclusion? Okay, I mean, mea culpa. Okay, sure.
My game is always on point. What I am saying is that there's got to be something more to it than that, and that it's got to be better than just not liking the politics of the other side.
Okay, so...
The politics that try to kill us. They tell us to not have children, or... to castrate ourselves,
so...
to accept no ID check for elections, to give the vote to non-citizens.
Yeah. So when we have
trouble with that,
when we have a kid who can't articulate why something sucks, but he knows why it sucks, it just doesn't feel right. He's like, this does not sound like a good story. I don't like the characters, but he doesn't know why. He can't analyze. He doesn't know any better. It needs to be. You can't do that, guys. That's no good. You have to give.
Oh man, I just don't like the politics that create a euthanasia program that talks little girls with cancer into assisted suicide behind the backs of her parents, and then she decides for that because apparently she can make that decision for herself. Behind the backs of her parents, and they later learn that, oh yeah, by the way, we killed her.
This is like saying, I just learned what addition is. I know that 2 + 2 isn't 5. I just don't know why, because I just learned what it should be. But someone telling me it's 5, I think they're wrong.
Or handing out tax-funded drugs to the homeless people in Portland or other places, or the politics that leave all the human excrement in a city because they can't deal with the homeless because they spend $141,000 per homeless person in that town into all of this, and still they have homeless people there somehow.
Let's not put them on cold turkey. Let's just give them proportional poison. It's like, what?
Where's the money going? And it's like a third world country where you dump tons of money and it all goes pockets of some corrupt politicians, and or the politics that legalized deliberately and secretly infecting people with AIDS, and then 2 months later complaining that, oh, we have an AIDS epidemic that is due to homophobia. Like, do you know that there's something weird going on in a happy socialist states? It's strange.
So guys,
it's really strange.
You can hate the things that he also hates, just have good reasons, apparently. Okay.
I don't like politics that kill people, okay?
Yeah. Let's explain murder is bad. Oh, all right, okay.
You don't have to take my word for it. Just look at how all those entertainment industries destroyed themselves playing that game.
What?
They destroyed themselves.
Comics?
By pandering to the woke. By doing what the woke wanted, because BlackRock wanted them to do it, because they thought if they turn everything into the propaganda, people will love it somehow, because they think people are dumb.
So
dumb that they believe everything as long as you tell it to them through a comic or a TV show.
How did superhero comics, after making whatever, go bad because the critics or the people who made the comics criticized the critics in a bad way? Like, does he understand what he just said?
No. He's in doublethink land. He can't rational thought anymore. There's no critical thinking left in him.
I'm beginning to think his level of intelligence did not go beyond grade 8 or something. Like I don't know.
That's what ideological possession does. It destroys your ability to reason. It destroys your ability to reflect, to see the world objectively. It is the opposite of Socratic and Aristotelian philosophy. It is the opposite of what Buddhism strives for. It is just insanity. It is fanaticism. Or fanaticism comes out of it.
I'm just
you can't the neurons are just randomly firing.
Like usually when you make an essay, like a video essay or whatever, at the end, like usually the end sentence or your end conclusion is like the culmination of everything that makes sense. Like you just proved it all in your body, and then you come to conclusion, you have a point, and you're like, there it is. There's my sentence.
Smart. If we have learned one thing in over 700 episodes of Smudcast, it's that the last 2 minutes are absolute insanity.
I don't think this is one of those cases. I think the whole video is all just rambling, and then the last one.
Yeah, but
it's
just 5 minutes, so it's not entirely 2 minutes. It's just these last 30 seconds that are super insane.
Well, even then, I don't think they're insane. I just think they're lacking of a summation of whatever he was trying to articulate, because we heard him step on his own toes, and you're just like, what? Were we not supposed to criticize? But you did, and it's okay, so you do it too. But wait,
on a scale of 0 to neuralities, where does just some guy rank?
Oh, probably a 2. He's not that bad. Neuralities is absolutely bizarre. This guy is like just unintelligent, unfortunately.
Huh?
He's stepping over himself. He's falling over himself, but he's not like a pervert. He's not like absolutely like, well, I have a bias towards porn. You're like, whoa.
He's not an open pervert. We don't know about the other stuff. The thing is, the cutie stuff ruined his reputation because he said some very strange things.
That could be a form of like his a viewpoint on free. I think it was free speech he was rambling on about.
No, it wasn't that. The thing is, the things that he said there are congruent with the things that actual pedos say to distract from themselves. Where like every time we see a leftist, every time he's not as dumb as we think he is. It's just that you see him now. I don't know if you've seen him before, but he's actually relative. He speaks fluent Sindarin, and the thing is, the actual pedos, they always attack anime, manga, Japanese media as pedophilic to distract from their own pedophilia. Every time one of them does that, it turns out a couple months later, we found a pedo and he's going to jail. The same currently happened to Vosh. I hope he's going to jail. We'll see whether that happens. But he talked in a similar fashion about in his defense of cuties. The wisest thing he could have done was not cover it at all and keep focusing on Lord of the Rings or whatever was the thing at the time. That wasn't that movie.
We've had other defenders of cuties that sounded absolutely insane, and
have you seen his videos?
We did cover. I think we did cover his cutie one. Yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as like actual, like 30-minute long cuties reviews, which were horrible. Those were frightening.
He called people who criticized the movie to be the actual pedos.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I think his lack of understanding of what he's saying and what he's implying is more evident than like calling people the opposite is like, okay, that's nothing. I disagree, therefore you're the thing I disagree with. It's like, it's not much of an argument. You're just throwing it. You're just having a high school or a schoolyard debate with the grade schooler. It's just, that's not how you argue. You're ugly. No, you are. It's like, what? Okay. Not the best way. Yeah, I obviously forgot because I think there's a plenty of videos I totally forgot about because we did cover them and they were so dumb and so bad. There's nothing to learn.
Yeah, and someone in the chat said, Smurre. Brittany Venti critiques anime like that. Do you think she has skeletons in her closet or what? I don't know which she is actually critiquing, because there's a key difference in this. The pedos who complain about loli in anime, or normal female characters, normal developed female characters, what they complain about is not the loli stuff, or not actual hentai or ecchi. They complain about the stuff that is completely tame. Those tend to be the pedos. So there's a strange difference. They don't attack the actual ecchi and hentai. They attack the stuff that is the run-of-the-mill standard thing you see. And I think maybe just some guy was trying to allude to that. But Cuties was not standard run-of-the-mill stuff. It was a movie actively sexualizing the girl actresses, and did that on set with real children, real life children, not with anything drawn, so they don't even have that excuse. That's the insane thing about that movie. And any pedo will watch that for the softcore scenes. End of story.
All right, let's finish this off. We're almost done.
For them, it's probably not going to work out for the right. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.
All right. Good enough.
The modern obsession with here's some pop-ups from his channel. The modern obsession with unpretty art is what I see in the top right. Yeah, that's a product of woke. It's not a modern obsession. It's a left-wing obsession. This version of April O'Neil is also a self-insert again from some ugly, talentless hack writer on Steam. It's always the same shit. So, do you see the problems or not, just some guy? You're trying to, if you want to peddle to the socialists, you have to do a total conversion. But then you would have to abandon Lord of the Rings, which you can't. Which means there is hope for you. I'm trying to stop myself now.
Yeah, okay. Let's not talk about or read about cuties. It's not a fun topic. I don't think I want to cover that. Imagine thinking you scored a point on Tolkien by claiming he didn't pay enough attention to tax policy. Tolkien can say, this is from Martin, Tolkien can say that Aragorn became king and reigned for 100 years, and he was wise and good, but Tolkien didn't ask the question, what was Aragorn's tax policy? Did he maintain a standing army? What did he do in times of flood and famine? And what about all these orcs? By the end of the war, Sauron is gone, but all the orcs aren't gone. They're in the mountains. Did Aragorn pursue a policy of systematic genocide and kill them, even the little baby orcs in their little orc cradles?
What? There are no orc cradles. Did you read the book?
I thought they were born out of the pits. This is Martin. They're monsters. They deserve to be destroyed. And I don't know why you're concerned about Aragorn's tax policy. What the hell is he talking about?
They come out of vats. They're basically a clone army, a very strange, degenerate clone army.
I don't. Is he like, what happens after the fact? It's like, I don't know.
The thing is, after Sauron is gone, no new orcs are being born. Because there's no one doing the magic.
If this was a romance, and you're like, oh, the guy fights for the girl, there's a second guy, and they fight over him, and he finally gets the girl, they marry, and it's like, oh, there's a whole other story, which you could go slice of life, which is proper if you want to figure out if realistically that would happen, but no one wants to watch that.
There are no little baby orcs. They come out of their cocoons as adults, ready to fight.
I don't want to watch a story of Aragorn on the throne when everyone's going through the age of man. I don't care. All the magic is gone. All the elves have left. Gandalf is gone. The rings are gone. Well, most of the rings are gone.
No, and there are no orc women, so the orcs are basically a misogynistic race. Aren't you happy they're dying out? They're the epitome of the patriarchy.
Like, you could technically guess what Tolkien would have done after the books, but it's like, why would you pursue that? I don't want a gigantic epilogue, which is another story. Because all the cool things happen in the Lord of the Rings. All the dragons, all the dwarves, all the elves, all the wars. That's all done. Maybe a Tom Bombadil side story would be cool. I don't know. Stay behind, Grogu. What? Green Party normies.
Yep.
Pretty much every country has a Green Party.
Yeah, but they are communists. They're Maoists. This is a Chinese Poland ball.
All within the state. Nothing outside the state. Nothing against... Yeah, that's Mussolini in his essay. Mangas that I found to have legitimate trans characters. Oh, cool. Yeah, there's a few of them. I know they're there.
Yeah, there's a couple. Like the Japanese are actually portraying this okay, even when there's fantastical elements in there, because they just write characters. They write character stories.
All right.
Like life stories.
Well, that was a pretty lame video about a confused fellow who doesn't have all the facts, and if he did, he probably wouldn't understand them anyway, unfortunately.
Someone who's lost the plot.
I really don't like when he used that. I was like, okay, are you trying to be clever? Do you know what that means? You use it multiple times.
No, he needs a mirror. I think the one thing when you go hard left is you become incapable of reflection. You turn into a vampire. Mirrors stop working for you.
Weird. It felt like a low effort video, and I don't know what he was trying to attempt to do when he comes to the conclusion. I do the same thing, but I do it the right way. It's like, yeah, you're the expert, sir. Sure. Other people can't do it your way. Their way is wrong. My way is right. So okay.
Bit of a narc vibe there.
You know, if he gave an example and he criticized the example of this person, he could say, yeah, that person did it wrong. I agree with you. You have a better technique of analysis or critical thought or whatever. Great. Yeah. But you don't paint everyone with the same brush and go, yeah, they're all bad. No examples. This is no different than all the idiots we've covered that have no examples that we go, yeah, sure. You're the real anime fan. You really know what the story and the characters are about and blah, blah, blah. It's like, nope. No other way of interpreting that story. Anyway. Wasn't that long? Thanks, guys, for the video. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow. It's anime day, but we'll figure it out, I'm sure. So thank you so much for your time. We'll see you soon. Have a good one. Good night.